Following on from that fantastic explanation of sleep issues and particularly sleep issues in MS, and some great strategies already presented around how to manage those sleep issues, I thought it would be helpful for me to go through some of the management strategies that the OTs here at MS implement with their clients. We've already identified well and truly that it's a complex issue. I don't think I need to reinforce that anymore, but some strategies that will help you in your practice, I think, come, and this algorithm has been developed in order to help give you a flow through of the conversation that you might have with people once you've identified some sleep issues. The fire alarm will be tested. So in your conversation with your clients, you've identified some sleep issues. You might then want to implement a sleep diary or a sleep questionnaire, and one of those will be part of the handout pack that accompanies this program. It's also worthy of a conversation around, has there been a change lately? So it's worth asking the person what their sleep habits were like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Has something changed that's meant that their sleep is worse now than it was? That is in some ways important for getting a picture of what's their history of sleep issues. Maybe they've always been a bad sleeper, so it might not be to do with their MS, but conversely, it actually might be that something has changed with their MS that is now having an impact on their sleep, and that might be able to be managed. It's also that the conversations go along with, is something happening at home that's disturbing the sleep? That's where we start to have the conversation about, the neighbour's just got a new dog and the new dog's barking. So it's actually nothing to do with their MS. It's very much to do with the neighbour's dog. So that idea of teasing out, like Simon mentioned, teasing out between, is this MS related or is it not MS related? It could be totally not the person related. But it's also where you then suss out, actually this particular family has a new baby, so all their sleep is going to be disturbed. Or that next box on the algorithm, maybe menopause is now an issue for the person, and so some changes that might be occurring are to do with their menopausal symptoms, something like that. But the sleep diary could be really helpful as a way of reviewing what else is going on for the person. So in looking at the sleep diary, you might be able to point out that there might be some dietary things going on. They might be having too much caffeine. Simon mentioned that before. They might be eating too late in the evening. Their work situation might mean that they're eating very late and very close to bedtime, and so they're not sleeping well. Or maybe the sleep diary allows you to see that they're actually waking to go to the toilet frequently during the night. They've just put it down to, oh, that's just me, I've always been like that. But actually that might be the signal for a referral to a continence clinic. Or maybe the sleep diary actually shows that they're experiencing spasms or pain during the night that's waking them up. If it's painful spasms, maybe you can get that assessed and managed, and then their sleep will improve. So it's all about looking at what's going on for the person. They will do this themselves. When they see it on paper, they too will see that it might be blatantly obvious to them what they need to get managed, but they might be seeking your input to observe what's going on. It might actually be that you suggest that they have a pharmacy review, that they look at what their medications might, the impact of them on their sleep, the interplay between the medications that no one's ever thought to have a look at before, but the pharmacist might be well placed to have a look at what's going on for the person. And then you need to have a think about, well, do I need to conduct a depression screen? I don't routinely do that, but maybe I should be looking at mood, and I'll talk about that in a bit. And once you've implemented a few lifestyle strategies and you've adequately trialled them, which isn't spelt correctly, but you've adequately trialled them, and still there are sleep issues, that can also be part of your flow chart for referring on. Maybe they do need a sleep review, maybe they need a referral to a sleep specialist, but you've tried some other things in the meantime to see if that can be more easily managed. These are the type of questions that you might have in your sleep questionnaire, and you can see those on the screen. You'll get those in your pack. These might be some of the things that you ask about. But as we've already indicated, it's not just about asking about how they're sleeping. It's also asking about what they're doing during the day, because often the things that people are doing during the day are contributing to their sleep issues in the night. So these are the type of things that a sleep diary will help reveal as well. And we'll give you a pro forma of a sleep diary, but equally you can Google sleep diaries. There are lots out there and you might find one better than another. I'll send you though one in our pack of handouts as well. But you'll see on that, even that, it records what they're drinking and when they're drinking, what they're doing within 3 hours of going to sleep, what they're doing an hour before sleep. When we had our students with us working on this sleep project, that one of them in particular was really blown away with, when she looked at her sleep diary, how obvious it became to her that the nights that she had had a massage during the day, she slept really well, and the nights that she wasn't sleeping well were directly connected to the nights that she did calisthenics. And because she was an adult in the adult program, her calisthenics session was in the evening, and that directly correlated to her poor sleep for that night. So, you know, it's the stuff we're aware of, but sometimes it's seeing it down on paper that makes it more obvious to the person that, okay, yep, I do need to make some adjustments. I can totally see how what you've been telling me totally relates to this diary that's here in front of me. And in terms of screening for depression, the OTs here at MS will use the DAS-21, Depression, Anxiety and Stress Scale. And in this one, there's 21 questions where the client answers each question with a rating of never, sometimes, often, or almost always. And when it's scored, it defines the client's mood into 3 areas of depression, anxiety, and its stress. And it categorises the rating in each of those areas as to whether it's in the category of normal, mild, moderate, severe, or extremely severe. That screen is freely available to download from the internet. The other one that they've used as an alternative screening tool is the Beck Depression Inventory. That's the BDI one listed there. And again, that's available. Just something though that you can have in your repertoire to screen for depression. And then to seek some support around that, because you might find that actually addressing depression or mood changes might be one of the first things that you decide to do, because it will then remove some of the contributing factors to the sleep issues. MS Connect can be helpful to link clients to counselling if that's required. We certainly can't recommend particular people, but we do keep a record or a little list of people who we know have a good understanding of MS, because that seems to make a difference. And you'd be aware of the mental health care plan where there is subsidised counselling available for people as well. When we're talking with our clients, and actually I'll give a blatant plug here, that we have a program for clients on improving sleep or looking at sleep in MS. That program is recorded and the webinar recording is available on our website. So you might want to watch that with your client, or you might actually get them to have a look at that in between sessions with you so that they've got a bit of background. If you go to our website, which is www.ms.org.au, and put sleep in the search bar, fingers crossed, that sends you to that area where that recording is located. In that recording, we go through very much the things that I've started already talking about. We go through some of the common sleep issues. These are, in some respects, if this is what's identified as the issue for the person that's impacting their sleep, some of these are more easily managed, or if they're not managed, they add to the understanding that, okay, this will pass. This is temporary. The children are small now, but they will grow up. The children are coming home late now, and I know I'm lying awake waiting for them, but that's more on the weekend than it is during the week. So, you know, I can get a bit of balance happening there. Or it might be that I have a particular neighbour that always comes home very late at night with their V8 engine, and I know I'm always going to be disturbed on a Tuesday night because that's when they work late. You know, it can just sometimes help to talk about the sleep issues that everybody experiences that are managed day to day before we head on to some of the MS-specific sleep issues. But already you'll identify some of these sleep issues are heightened for people with MS. In the program that we run for our clients, we certainly talk about what's involved in getting a good night's sleep. We talk about what they do during the day, what they do during the evening, and getting into bed are all going to contribute to their ability to get a good night's sleep. We talk about the bedroom environment and how that might impact, and we also talk about what they could do during the night to help manage being awake in the night. We also have identified that there are some complementary approaches that are gaining some evidence behind them to support their use alongside some of the other things that you might suggest to people around improving their experience of sleep. So this table actually has a whole lot of MS symptoms and some of the complementary approaches that have evidence behind them. We would only want to go with evidence-based suggestions, but these are the things that people might like to feel that they're contributing to improving their sleep. So during the day, very much as Simon has already said, we encourage people not to stay in bed, regular going to bed, regular getting up time. The importance of exercising during the day, getting some form of physical activity, and then the other things that we've already raised your awareness of. Interestingly though, we often will talk to clients about managing their fatigue with rest breaks, but we do have to be aware that if they're sleeping too much during the day, that is going to be impacting their nighttime sleep. So it is very much encouraging them to play around with that, not having huge long sleeps during the day in order to manage their fatigue that then has that negative consequence later when they're wanting to get to sleep, breaking up those rest breaks. Also that idea of medication timing. We've had some clients who, when they've had their medication reviewed by their pharmacist, it's just been a matter of changing the timing of some of their medications. Rather than having the medication at night, having that particular medication in the daytime, in the morning, so that it doesn't impact on their sleep. Melatonin, Simon's already mentioned melatonin, that the hormone that helps us with our sleep-wake cycle. Just a word here though too, we're finding that while we want to have light in the morning to dampen the melatonin, and we want to have less light in the evening, more and more of perhaps our Gen Y clients are using more and more backlit screens or multiple, I should say, backlit screens that will be putting light into their eyes in that evening time. So they're using their laptop, they're using their phone that's backlit. They might be thinking they're having time reading, but it's a backlit e-reader, that kind of thing. And instead of them watching TV, across the room in the lounge room, they're watching TV shows or movies on their laptop, on their lap, which is only a metre away from them. So they've got a whole lot more light that they're experiencing in the evening, when really they want to have that occurring less, so that their melatonin levels can stay at the rate that they're needed for a good night's sleep. So it's just a word about having a chat to them about screens and backlit screens. Yoga, Tai Chi, all these complementary approaches have been found, if they're used during the day, can be helpful in sleeping at night. Same with massage, good evidence to support massage, acupuncture, reflexology. Again, all useful strategies to use during the day to then contribute to a good night's sleep. During the evening, we want people to be thinking about the timing and the type of the meals and drinks that they're having, the timing of their exercise, that they're not having meals or exercise too close to bedtime. We want them to be creating bedtime rituals. We do it with our kids when we're trying to get their brain into that idea that this is bedtime, this is wind down time. We need we need that ourselves as well. My kids, it was TTB, toilet, teeth and bed. They were the things that signaled to them that this was bedtime. And Simon mentioned smoking before in terms of the stimulatory effect of smoking, and I would also add to that the increasing body of evidence that suggests that smoking is directly contributing to the disease process, directly linked to the relapse rate. So for a whole lot of reasons, we want to be encouraging our clients to not be smoking. Valerian's on that list of complementary approaches that can improve sleep. There's only a small body of evidence around that, and apparently it's quite hard to tolerate. When it comes to getting into bed, concur completely with what Simon was saying about the need to make the bedroom the place that is connected to sleep and maybe sexual intercourse as well, but not the office, not the home movie theatre, not the place where you're involved in Facebook and FaceTime and all the sort of the social things. We really need to get those things out of the bedroom so that it's a tranquil, peaceful environment. We want to think about the lighting. For some people, the bedroom needs to have a low level of light. For other people, they need it dark. It's also the opportunity to start talking about the benefits of relaxation, meditation techniques that people can use as they're into that wind down time for getting ready for sleep. It might also be where you introduce the idea of journaling or diary writing as a way of putting the activities of the day onto paper so that they can be put aside. I don't have to think about them anymore. I've recorded them. They're there. I don't need to deal with them. That can be a really useful process for people who might find that their sleep is disturbed actually because of all the things they're thinking about from the day. Journaling can be really useful for that. Good evidence around meditation. Actually, some evidence around aromatherapy as well too, but some precautions too in that area of you don't want candles burning. Some oils are a bit volatile, so doing the aromatherapy properly rather than just your reject shop candle kind of idea. So what do we advise our clients during the night? If they're having trouble sleeping, this is another time where they might be able to use their relaxation exercises that they've learnt. They might be able to incorporate some of their breathing techniques. In the handout pack there will be some 2-minute takeaways of little exercises that you can share with your clients for strategies that they can use, either getting into sleep or during the night when they're awake. It might be, though, that you recommend that they go and seek out a relaxation program where they actually learn some strategies, or you might, your centre might run some stress management programs that they can get involved in. ways that they can learn the strategies that they can then put into place. And exactly as Simon was saying, we very much encourage, don't watch the clock, don't stay in bed. If you're really having trouble sleeping, we encourage people to set up an area where they can go in the night. It might have a blanket so they can stay warm, but it'll have low lighting, nothing particularly stimulating, that they can remove themselves from bed, wait for that sleep cycle to come back, and then go back to bed for sleep. I just recently came across a podcast that is a boring story. It's read in monotone voice, and it's sort of a waffly story. It doesn't go anywhere, so you're not sitting there listening thinking, oh, I want to know what happens. It's actually really boring to listen to. So it's amazing what some people are coming up with, but you can Google that as well and find that boring story. And we just, again, we remind people we don't want them smoking during the night because that's not conducive to sleep. I don't think I need to convince you there's great evidence around relaxation and meditation as strategies for improving sleep. So hopefully that's some strategies that will help move you through your algorithm when you're working with clients, help you have that conversation that might lead you to some lifestyle strategies that they can implement, but might also lead you to that awareness that this is the time now I need to refer on. I need to refer on for a continence assessment, or I need to refer on to get those spasms managed, or I need to refer on for a more thorough investigation of the sleep issues. I love that slide that Simon included in his presentation about the jawbone and the graphing of that. It's absolutely fascinating. And we too are aware that technology can be really useful to people so they can get an idea on what's going on for them. The caution would be if it actually increases their anxiety. You know, there would be some clients who you would actually say, I don't think you need to be focusing so much on this. Let's not worry about what the app's telling you about your sleep. Let's just have a think about it in general terms. Do you feel refreshed? Do you not feel refreshed? You know, they're a tool, but they're not the be-all and end-all. So hopefully that's been helpful in having a think about that sleep issues are going to impact other symptoms, but other symptoms are also going to impact sleep issues as well. And I'd strongly encourage you to include sleep in all your functional assessments. Make sure it's on your list of things that you talk to people about, part of your overall screening. I would very much encourage you to offer some lifestyle strategies to help your clients get a better night's sleep, but then to also refer appropriately if you need to refer on. And the conversation doesn't stop here. If this actually just generates more questions for you, by all means get in touch. Going through MS Connect as a way of connecting with the MS nurses or the MS OTs, using the 1-800 number to connect. Let's see if I've got that. I haven't got that on there. 1-800-042-138, so that you can get support in the work that you're doing to support people with MS managing their sleep issues. So thank you very much for your interest. Thank you very much for the work you do with people with MS. And if there's any way that we can help you with that, that's what we're here for. So thank you very much for your attention today.